filming question. I just wanted to congratulate the three of you. I think you've created here a movie that will live on with Schindler's List and Gone with the Wind is one of the great classics of our time.
Thank you.
Did everybody hear that? We could repeat it again if you want.
Can we put that on the poster?
Yeah, we'll repeat it several times in the next few minutes. Yes?
Steve and Jane, when they were there and offering assistance or watching, is there any major changes or anything they objected to during the film?
He asked if Stephen Hawking and Jane had objected to anything that they saw during filming.
There was one thing, when I met Stephen, which, as Felicity was saying, was a few days before we started filming, it takes him, as James was saying, a long time to speak now. He just uses this muscle beneath his eye, which is, there's a sensor on his glasses and then a screen with the alphabet and a cursor going across the alphabet, and when he moves that muscle, it stops on one letter. So it takes him maybe 6 or 7 minutes to form a sentence, or even longer actually. In the time I spent with him, a few hours I spent with him, he maybe said 8 sentences. So he was, one of the things he asked me in that time was, are you playing me before the voice machine? And I said yes. And he said my voice was very slurred. And there is one piece of footage of Stephen talking before the tracheotomy. And in that he's completely incomprehensible. And it was difficult for me because all of the stuff that we'd done beforehand, tracking the breakdown of his illness, was an educated guess, was to do with looking at photographs, showing them to specialists. But suddenly when you have the first bit of footage, that's the bit that you feel like you can actually use as a physical sort of replica in some ways, and a vocal replica. The problem was it's so incomprehensible, only Jane would understand him and his students. If you wanted to be one of Stephen's students, you would go and spend 2 weeks with him learning to be able to understand him. But the problem with our film was that the producers were wary of having subtitles. And I totally understand that. But when Stephen said to me, when I'd said this to him, I was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to go to that full extreme because of subtitles. And he goes, well, couldn't you have someone translate me? And that was wonderful because then James and I, that being the specific note that Stephen had given, we took that information back to Anthony, the writer, who then wove those scenes in which Felicity translates sort of half what I'm saying, which is what happened. And so that was one example of something very specific that he added.
And then for Jane, it was very important, and she made it very clear for us, was trying to show the truth of care, because it's not a subject you find in cinema very often, and it's not always the most glamorous story to tell. And it was important that we tried to show that as truthfully as possible. The kind of the complications of that, and that's very important. But also on the first, when Jane came to visit set, one of the things she was felt very strongly about was Eddie's hair as Stephen. So there was a moment when we were shooting, and then Jane ran up to Eddie and just went, "No, his hair wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all." Restyled his hair. So she was very particular about that as well.
Sounds just like that. But did she worry about her own hair?
Well, what was in? Well, it was very much. I remember I had all the pictures that had been taken of her in my trailer stuck on the wall, from her going from, when do we start, to the 60s through to the present day. And she did have some very extreme haircuts that I was keen to put into the film. Trying to follow her as truthfully as possible.
Yes?
Well, given the intensity in the